imagine that you're a child, you are 10 years old, and environment is a word that nobody understands. My job is to train the next explorers of Grandmother Earth to be teachers, to be environmental instructors. That's why I wanted to create a special place to have fun and learn. So imagine, Save Open Tundra is more like a theme park when you can find all the methodologies and all the tools that you need to be an environmentalist. How can a big tree stay inside a little seed? When you listen about global warming, how can you understand what that means? Sounds difficult. In our classrooms, there are no boards, no chairs, and no tables. So my job is to create games with children and understand how can we protect nature and environment. When a child decides to be the hero of Grandmother Earth, he spends all the weekends of 1 year learning about water, biodiversity, planting, and then he gets accreditation like an environmental instructor, because I feel that children are the best teachers in the world. I feel that I'm not working. I feel that I'm just doing what I really love.
Greetings, everyone, from National Geographic Learning. We are so excited to have
Did DaVida cut out?
She did.
Okay.
Hey, everybody. Can you guys hear me, see me? Is everything good?
Yes, good for you, Andres. I think DaVida's having some issues. Hey, everyone.
All right.
We're having
so
some technical problems, but we'll be
here.
back in 2 seconds. And please continue to chat in the chat box. I have just put the YouTube link. Some people were asking me for the YouTube link for this session. Sorry about the mix-up. I've just sent that as well. So if you need that, and you should have that on email.
No, this is excellent too. So I'm really enjoying seeing everyone pop up. So I'm going to talk about this in a little bit. I'm Andres. I'm a National Geographic explorer. Well, DaVida is reconnecting here. I am actually in Dallas, Texas, in the United States right now. But I love seeing everyone from Romania. Let's see. We've got Romania, Dar es Salaam. Oh, nice. So I'll talk more about this later. But one of the projects I'm working on is mapping out the world's hot springs. So as soon as we get, while we're waiting for DaVida's system to pop back up, oh, I think there she is right now. UAE, Geneva, nice. So start thinking. I'm going to ask you guys later about hot springs in your area, and if you see any, send me pictures because we're trying to map out all the world's hot springs. All right, so I think we're back with DaVida. We got everything working again. So Romania, nice. All these Romanians, wonderful. This is so fun. Uh-oh, DaVida, I think you're muted, my friend. From Spain, from Saudi Arabia. Nice. Look at all this.
Okay, I think I have my technology working now. Can everyone hear me?
Yes,
can everyone hear me now?
Yes,
wonderful.
Perfect.
Great. I don't know what happened, but I am so glad to be joining you. This is our 5th project exploration. I see some familiar names. I'm joining from the UAE. So thank you for all the schools that are joining from the UAE. I see people from Romania, from Saudi Arabia. It is so great to see so many friends across our global community joining us for our 5th installment of Project Exploration. I'm glad my technology is back up and running, and let's get started with our lesson today. I'm DaVida Alston, and I am joined by such a fantastic guest today, and he's going to tell you all about his research and some of the exciting things that he does to take action. We at National Geographic Learning really want you to be a part of our global community and think about, even at a primary age, how can you take action in your community and within your global community. So let's get started. As always with our project explorations, All students are muted and classes are muted. However, we are going to have you to interact with us by using the chat feature, which so many of you are doing now. We also are going to have some interactivities that you will participate with us. So make sure that you're engaging, using your chat feature, asking questions of both myself and Andreas as we go through this session today. And again, hello to so many. Romania, I think you're winning today. I see so many classes from Romania. Keep saying hello and keep interacting with us. So our session is called Take Action. How can you take action in your communities? And the lesson that we're going to be bringing to you today is about lending a hand. So I would want just to look at this picture and think about the unit title, Lending a Hand. And in the chat, if you can just tell me what you think or what you know, or what you maybe wonder about when you look at this picture, what you think, what you know, and possibly what you wonder about this picture when it comes to lending a hand. So if you can just start, your teachers, if you can ask your students, call out in the chat, what do you think? What do you know? What do you wonder? Recycling, thank you. I love that, possibly recycling. What else? This girl is helping out. Yes, that's kind of our theme for today is how can we take action? A clean world. Oh, I wonder where she collected everything. I love always when I see wonder questions because that means that you're using those critical thinking skills and you're really starting to dig deep. Oh, I think that she's an environmentalist, someone just said. So thank you, recycling, but we're also looking at different ways to reuse. So thank you for that. Today, I want you to think about how you can lend a hand, but I want you to think about this big question. What are our responsibilities? So what is my responsibility? What is your responsibility to helping each other? Why is that important that we all help each other when we think about the word global citizen and taking action? So as you're thinking about that, I want you to think about a good citizen. And when we talk about a citizen means that you're a part of a community, it's a place where you live. If you're part of a community, it could be your community that you live in or your school community. And then we're all a part of this global citizen. So we're all global citizens. We all have to take care of the world. So I want you to think about this. Are you a good citizen? But I also want you to think about what do you believe or what does your class believe are some characteristics of good citizens? And for us to share out with this one, if your teachers could just go to menti.com, the code is here on the screen, or you can use the QR code. And I want you to just in 1 to 2 words, give us some characteristics of what you believe makes a good citizen. Just some characteristics of what it means to be a good citizen. And if you have problems with menti.com, you can continue to put your responses in the chat, which some of you are doing. So a good citizen will respect others. I love that characteristic, respect. That's actually one of the things we're going to talk about today. So I'll give everyone time to open up the Menti. You have a link here, teachers. You also have a QR code. And if you could put your responses in the Menti, and I'm actually going to stop sharing my screen and open our Menti just so that we can all, as a global community, look at each other's responses. Oh, I see them coming in. This is wonderful. So I'm just going to reshare. Let's see what some of our classes are saying today about those characteristics. Responsible. A good citizen is someone that shows empathy. That's actually one of our vocabulary words that we're going to be talking about. Characteristics like a good listener. Love this. Respect each other. Wonderful. They're honest. Okay. Ooh, let's put wisdom. And I love that because we want our good citizens. What wisdom do we bring to help our communities? Environmental friendly. Someone that's a good citizen. These are great. Honest, friendly. They don't pollute. Love these. Let's just take a few more minutes. They're coming in. There's over 128 classes joining us from all over the world. So I'll just give a little bit more time. Teamwork. Yeah, we'll talk about how teamwork works when we take action with some of the global citizen projects we're going to have you to complete after this lesson. They show compassion. So I will put this back up at the end of our lesson just for time. Keep them coming, because throughout today's lesson, we want you to be thinking about, what does it mean to be a good citizen? What type of characteristics must you have? And more importantly, how can you take action to make sure we're looking at some of the global issues that are affecting our local communities, and then also our global community as well? Okay. So here's some of the vocabulary words, and you had some of these on your screen. Empathy is one of the words we're going to talk about. How to protect our communities, how to be responsible. That came up in many of your responses. How to be not just a citizen, but a global citizen, and how to protect our environments. And when my friend who's going to join us, my explorer today, he and I were talking, and we thought, instead of just reading some short literature about being a good citizen, we wanted to look at it from the genre of proverbs. And so in this unit, there are different proverbs. And has anyone ever heard of what is a proverb? Does anyone know what a proverb is? It is a type of genre. So we have fiction text, we have nonfiction, and a proverb can be a type of text that we can read. Let's see, can anyone tell me in the chat what they think a proverb is? And this is going to help us to pull all of this together about being a good citizen and taking action. A text with a special meaning, a wise phrase. I love those. You're exactly right. Thank you. So it is something that you all have said. It's a short saying that gives good ideas about how to live. And when my special guest starts his presentation, he's really going to talk about what are some good ideas that you can bring as a good citizen to protect our environment and to work in our environment. And here are some examples of proverbs, and we're putting them up there because your task at the end of this lesson will be to share out with you maybe a class proverb that deals with being a good citizen. So there are things up here like, if the heart is good, the deeds will be good. I love it. That's a Japanese proverb. Today is my turn and tomorrow is your turn. So today is my turn to help. Tomorrow will be your turn. Good actions are not lost. So I want you to just read some of these that are on the screen as I turn it over to my friend in a moment. And he's going to really talk about how you can put some of these proverbs into action and how you can help with your local community and also our broader global community. Okay? So let's go ahead, and I just want to introduce, and thank you for jumping in already for me, but I want to introduce our special guest, National Geographic explorer, Andres Russo. He is a conservationist, and he's going to tell you what that means. He's an educator, he's a researcher, and he's best known, which I think is just so cool, for his work at the Boiling River in the Amazon. Thanks for joining us, and I am going to turn it over to you.
All right. Well, buenas noches for me because it's 2:15 a.m. Buenos dias for most of you. Good day to most of you. I'm going to share my screen now, so hopefully everyone can see this. It's so fun to see where everyone's from. What a great spread. And so we're going to look at project exploration. And there's a couple of things, right? So first and foremost, I am a geothermal scientist. What that means is that I work with volcanoes, I work with hot springs, I work with the heat of the earth. And this can be for a number of reasons, right? The studying, geo means earth, right? Thermal means heat. I know we have a Greek group in there, so thermos is where we get it. Geo thermos is where it comes from. So we owe that to you guys. Try to minimize this. There we go. That should be good. But I do so much more than that, right? Because everything that we touch on our planet, everything that we are, that we drink, that we eat, that we breathe, is connected to our world. So even though it's just geology, even though it's just geothermal, that is the starting point for me. It goes so much more than that. So I actually work in science. I work in conservation. I work in science communication and education as well. This is something I love to do. If it were up to me, my deepest wish would be, I wish I could bring all of you to the Amazon. I wish I could bring all of you to to a volcano, to see it, to touch it, to feel, obviously everything safely, right? But to be able to feel the heat of the boiling river or of lava one day. It is, I think the world is meant to be experienced. In fact, I'm convinced that I figured out the meaning of life, and it's quite simple, just to live it. And so this is a 20 foot and almost 7 meter, actually, almost long skin of an anaconda. So anaconda, this is what we have in the Amazon, and that it's actually missing a little section of it too, so it's pretty big. I want to talk about 4 different words here. So I'm going to go back to these throughout the presentation: sustainability, conservation, responsibility, and mission. So with these, first, let's get into sustainability, because I work a lot in this, again, with geothermal energy. Many of the countries that you mentioned actually do have geothermal projects, both for heating and cooling and renewable energy. And it is a sustainable energy resource, right? The heat of the earth doesn't turn off. It is always on. In fact, the sun will go and turn into a super giant sun, right? A red star, right? Long before Earth's heat will go away. So it's very sustainable. Sustainability, simply put, is the ability to keep things going. And with that kind of sustainable resource, it's something that we can definitely keep going. Sadly, many of our processes, many of the way that we are living life as humans is very much not sustainable. So if you look at things like plastic bags, like single-use straws, or a lot of the way that we harvest our resources, deforestation, right? Deforest, to cut down trees, for example. It's not sustainable in many ways. And that's a big problem. In fact, there was one study that was quite interesting, that most people, if they're using a plastic bag or a plastic straw, actually only end up using it for about 15 minutes. And depending on the kind of plastic, that single piece of plastic might be able to contaminate, to pollute the planet for over 1,000 years. So if you look at that balance, does that make sense? 15 minutes of use for 1,000 years of problems? I think bad decision. So we do have solutions that are sustainable, reusable bags, made of sustainable materials, metal straws, glass straws, or even planting something, right? Regenerative agriculture. There's a whole lot that we can do. Again, sustainability, the ability to keep things going, because conservation is another thing we focus on. And very simply, I think for me, conservation is all about protecting important things. You can conserve landscapes, you can work with animals, you can even work with archives, or even something precious to you. Like, for example, maybe you have something that belonged to your great-grandmother, great-grandfather, something like that, and you are conserving it and keeping it safe so that it stays with you for a long time. Ultimately, it's a question of, what do you think is important? Clean water, or in that case, not very clean water. I wouldn't want to be drinking that. That's important to have clean water. It's important to have healthy, nutritious, clean food. Breathing in the air, we're all doing it. It's important to have clean air. So that's a big part of it. Moving on to responsibility. Again, we're just going over a couple vocab words here, right? For me, responsibility, honoring another with your actions. That other person, that might be you. That might be a landscape. That might be an animal, right? You honor with your actions. If you're just throwing trash away, if you're not being sustainable, there's a problem. And the final one with that too is, there's a great test, the dirty dish test. Who's going to clean up your mess? Asking that question. If I go over to your house and leave a mess and disappear, that's a problem. Are you polluting for free? What legacy are you leaving behind? Are you leaving behind dirty dishes, or are you taking care of the mess that you made? So I think we have a responsibility both to the future and to our past, right? We need to honor our ancestors, but also our descendants. And the thing that we share in common, as far back as humanity goes and as far forward as it will go, is this incredible shared planet. So, and now we get to the final point, mission. And these are great vocab words, and this one for me is what you are called to do. This can change during your life. You can find lots of things that make you passionate, that get you excited, that you want to dedicate yourself to. But what problem do you want to solve? For me, one of my goals in life is connecting people with our natural world. I think that our answers, the answers for virtually all of our problems lie in nature. I get inspired when I look at amazing landscapes like this. And it's been the case since I was a kid. Actually, that's the same volcano, you might be able to tell there. So this is me as a small child, I'm in the red shirt, in Nicaragua. So I actually grew up between Nicaragua, Peru, and the United States. And, one thing I noticed was, nature's everywhere. And it's incredible everywhere. Everywhere you go, everywhere I've lived, everywhere I've visited, has some incredible story. And that's one of my favorite things about being a National Geographic explorer, because it's about finding that story and getting into it. But there's also a darker side, right? There's also problems everywhere. You see trash, you see human problems everywhere on planet Earth. But there's also a challenge in that, because where there's a problem, there's also very much a solution. And I think that's what I'm calling all of you guys to do. Do what you can, when you can, and where you can, because where you are in the world, if you as much as move a chair where you are in your room, you're changing the world. That might not be the most impactful way to change the world, but you're changing it. So what's a way that you can have impact, that you can do something positive in your local area? We can do this in our schools. We can do this in our homes. There's all sorts of ways to have positive impacts. And for me, most of my focus of my work is actually in the Amazon. So hopefully you guys have heard of the Amazon. I know you're all over the world, so this is where we're going to be focused on, right? This is one of the most spectacular places on planet Earth. It's our planet's largest rainforest. It is absolutely massive and very ancient. It is millions of years old. It's an incredible landscape. And funnily enough, what took me to the Amazon was actually a story from when I was a little kid. My grandfather told me this incredible story, this incredible legend about the Spanish conquest of Peru, about this awful war between los conquistadores, the conquistadors, these people that wanted gold and glory, and the Incan Empire. They fight for a long time. The Inca end up getting conquered. And more waves, new wannabe conquistadores, right? People who wanted more gold and more glory would come and ask the now conquered Inca, where's another civilization we could conquer? We want more gold. So according to the legends, out of vengeance, the Inca tell them, you want gold? Go to the Amazon. On the other side of the mountains, the Andes Mountains, right? On the other side of the mountains, in the vast jungle, you will find Paititi, El Dorado, a giant city made entirely of gold. Now, the few conquistadores, or wannabe conquistadores, in this case, conquistadors, that returned from those expeditions came back not with gold, but with terrible stories, horrifying stories of powerful, fierce warriors with poisoned arrows that'll kill you in a nick. They talked about giant snakes that can swallow a man whole. They talked about spiders as big as your hand, trees so tall they blotted out the sun, and all sorts of amazing things, including a river that boiled. Now, I grew up, I started working in geothermal exploration, working on my PhD, and I remembered this legend, and I thought, could this be real? And well, I investigated for about 2 years. And then one of my aunts told me, Andres, I've been there. I actually didn't believe her at first, but she had done work with indigenous groups and said, no, I've been there. I've seen it. There is a boiling river and I will take you there. So she took me to go meet the shaman, the curandero, the healer. He's also the political leader of this group, of this community. We took an airplane. We took a car for a truck for about 2 hours, 3 hours, then a motorized canoe for another hour, then went walking into the jungle for another hour. And even though we were in the middle of the jungle, over 700 kilometers away from the nearest active volcanic center, we see this. The boiling river is spectacular. Here, when I took that picture, the temperatures were about, when we took that picture, the temperatures were about 187 degrees Fahrenheit or about 86 degrees Celsius. 47 degrees Celsius is enough to burn you and me. In fact, that temperature is way hotter than most coffee, most tea that you're going to be drinking. Because by the time you drink it, obviously, you got to wait for it to cool down. Again, we are over 700 kilometers away from the nearest active volcanic center. That tree that you see over there that's falling in the river, it's about this big around. So it's a big place. It flows hot for over 6 kilometers. It flows hot for 6.24 kilometers, hot enough to kill you for most of that way, especially during the dry season. So you have to be very careful. Its name is beautiful. Shanai timpishka, Shanai, heat of the sun. Timpu is the verb to boil. And it looks like this for about 100 meters, bubbles. Now, at the widest point, it's about 30 meters wide. That waterfall you see back there on the blue dot up there, right? That's about 76 degrees C water in that pool. So if I fall in, bye-bye, I'm dead. Don't do it. But it is amazing. At the deepest point, the boiling river that I've measured gets to about 4.5 meters deep. The hottest temperature I measured got up to 99.1 degrees C. That is super hot. And what's most incredible, this is a sacred place to the local, in the local traditions, right? This is a place that is very special to them. They call it the home of the Yakumama, a giant serpent spirit, the mother of the waters. And this giant serpent spirit in their legends gives birth to hot and cold water. So that's actually the rock where the Yakumama lives in their legends. But it's also a very dangerous place. You do not want to fall in. And if you fall into the boiling river, like I said, bye-bye. Bad decision. This is an unfortunate frog that fell in. So if you like to eat frogs, you know, easy meal right there. But it's a place that does represent death. And you do have to be very careful. But at the same time, it's also life-giving. These waters are so clean. You literally can go grab some water straight out of the river. I wait for it to cool down, of course, but you can quite literally make tea in the river. You can drink it. There's the thermal glove there so I don't burn my hand. But the ecosystem is incredible. That massive tree that you see there, I mean, that won't fit in this way or this way in the photograph. It is beautiful. There's a gentleman there, a guy for scale in the yellow shirt. And sometimes you wake up and see some beautiful, you know, little tiny spiders. And they're kind of cute, nice and fuzzy. This is one, another fun one. We call this one a papazo, right? It's a type of rhino beetle. This one flew into breakfast one morning. It sounded like a motorcycle when it was flying in. It was funny. That's my finger, and that is a poison dart frog. And if I were to, you know, take that little tiny frog and put it in my mouth, it would be the last bad decision I ever made in my life. You know, don't do that one either. Here's a baby caiman, right? This is a cousin of the crocodile. And this one's trying to hide. It's taking in some of the hot spring waters. There it's cool enough to where it can hide. And then here, I don't know if you guys see her, but she's doing a pretty good job camouflaging. That is called a leaf toad, sapo hoja, right? Is how we'd say it, un sapo hoja. And anyway, if she were to tuck in her back legs, she would just disappear. And in case you don't see her, she's right there. So that's what she looks like. And right there. Do you see her now? Right there. So this is my favorite animal that's in the jungle, though. They're just, I think, so cute. This is a baby one. In Peru, we call them sachavaca. But all other parts of South America, we call them tapir, danta in Brazilian Portuguese, gran bestia in Colombia is what they're called. So there's different names in different regions, but this is it's such a cute animal, super cute. And that one's name was Coli, actually. It was the pet of the shaman. So lots of fun. Funnily enough, too, they're actually related if you look at the feet, actually, they have 3 little toes. They're the South American cousin of the rhinoceros, which is kind of fun. They also have the tapirs in Southeast Asia, which is another good note. But again, this place is unbelievable. It's such a special spot. I hope all of you get to visit this incredible place one day. And I hope this highlights what we have in this world, why it's so important to be sustainable, right? Keep things going, why it's so important to protect our important things, and how in our actions we need to honor each other and nature as well. So I've shared a little bit about my mission, and I'm curious as to what yours is. So we ended off with Proverbs, and I know sometimes having impact, changing the world, it's a big world out there, so sometimes it can be overwhelming. Well, here's a proverb that I heard. It's supposedly an African proverb, even though we're not really sure where it came from. But if you think you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping with a mosquito. And I promise you, we have a lot of mosquitoes in the Amazon, and sleeping with even one, no gracias, it's a pain. So none of that. And if you still don't know how you want to make your difference, well, let's start here. Let's start here. Help me, please. In fact, please help me. I know there's a ton of you, and there's a ton of you all over the place, but I'm trying to map the world's hot springs. This is for geothermal conservation. So to protect these areas, to understand the ecosystems that are around here. And what's incredible is especially with all of you everywhere where you're from, and well, there's hot springs everywhere. So I hope you guys can see this okay. There are hot springs all over the place. I know there's a lot of you in Romania. Look at all the hot springs you have there. We've got Italy, Portugal, not too many in the GCC region, but this is really interesting as well. So there's a lot of undocumented springs supposedly in this area. So if any of you hear about any springs, I mean, please, I'm super interested. Send me a name, an exact location on Google Earth or Google Maps, temperatures, a photograph. That would be fantastic. I would love to hear about it. And another very fun thing, so I know we're in the business of learning languages here, right? Here's something super interesting. One of right now I'm working with some Google, as in, Google, the company, right? Engineers who are helping me do some artificial intelligence work. And language has become key to this geothermal project, because just in English, there's like 7 different ways to say geothermal pool, hot spring, etc. Well, a lot of that not only depends on the language, but it depends on the region that language is spoken in, and the time and place that language is spoken in. In fact, just yesterday, I had some meetings with collaborators in Spain. I know some of you are in Spain right now, and they were telling me that in the part of Spain closer to Portugal, they often call hot springs caldas. In Argentina, for example, that has a lot of influence from Italy, they'll call them termas, related according to them to the Italian word terme. One of the fun things too, in southern Spain and many parts of Latin America, we call them ojos de agua caliente, literally eyes of hot water. And one of the really interesting things that I learned recently being in Bahrain and the UAE was in Arabic too. They also call them eyes of hot water. I don't know the Arabic word off the top of my head, but I remember you guys telling me. It was so cool. So again, easiest way to get a hold of me is actually Instagram. But other than that, Facebook, LinkedIn. I'm not too good with responding to the Facebook messages. So honestly, Twitter or Instagram is the easiest way to get a hold of me, but that's where you get a hold of me. So with that, colorín colorado, and yeah, so I hope that we get to connect again soon, and yeah, ask me any questions if you'd like. And actually, one of the fun things that we could do too, I'm gonna exit out of this real fast. I'm gonna open up Google Earth, because I think I think we did pretty good on time. I just need to show you how cool this is. And you can do this and explore literally from your backyard. So Google Earth is a free program that we use a lot in our explorations. And if we look at, the global, take off that. So global hot springs. So let's go into your area. I don't know if anyone on the chat wants to tell me where they're from. All right, let's see. All right, we're gonna, anybody? This one, Romania. We're gonna go here and we're gonna try to see if you are close to any hot springs. Come back, Rosalia. Okay, so that's where you are, right? It looks like, according to the registered, because there's many more that are not registered, you're right between two hot springs. So that's kind of fun. But all right. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions. Oh, there's definitely hot springs in close to Egypt, but in Egypt, but again, there's a lot more that haven't been registered. So any questions about anything at all, I'm here to answer them. And yeah, I'm excited for this. Perfect.
Thank you so much. That was such a great presentation. If anyone has questions, students have questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. We do have a little time. If classes are willing to stay over for a few minutes, we can have a Q&A so that Andres can answer any of your questions regarding his research or how you can help him be a part to take action in your local and global communities.
Mm-hmm. And then, so right now, Raluca, we found you here. I hope, let's see. You don't seem to be close to, oh, well, you're kind of close. There's supposedly a hot spring over here in this area. I hope that means something to you. But yeah, we're trying to map out everything. And eventually I hope that you get to see all these with photographs and place names and even legends attached to them. Oh, that's funny. Two great questions. The first one, where did I get the snakeskin? I actually got it over there. And so it was actually a birthday present. And my birthday is coming up next week. So that's a perfect timing. So it was, unfortunately, with the expansion of agriculture, a lot of times it puts people in conflict with animals. And many times, you know, the animals have always been there and they're not going anywhere. So that was eating, you know, small cows, and the landowner, well, the locals ended up killing it, eating it, and they gave me the skin. So I now use it for educational purposes, to raise awareness and to show people how big they can actually get, and also get to touch and feel it. So that's important. So what happens if you put your arm in the boiling river? In about 2 seconds, not exaggerating, you'll start to get 2nd and 3rd degree burns. If you keep your hand in there and don't take it out immediately, then this is not a very wise decision, because your muscles will literally start cooking on your bone. This can get very gruesome, and I don't know the ages of the people in the audience, but boiling alive or sticking your hand in boiling water is a horrible idea. So I won't go into details. I could, but I don't want to get in trouble. Is there any animal living for a long time in the hot spring? In general, you will very, very, very rarely see anything that lives, any animals that we would see and say, oh, that's an animal, right? Above 47 degrees C. Above 47 degrees C is kind of this magic like death number. But then once you get, there's a couple of animals that might make it up to 52 degrees, bugs and things like that. But above 52 degrees C, I mean, it's almost nothing except for microbes and algae. So you do see that. Any hotspots in the UAE? That's a great question. Let's go over to the UAE. There are none registered, though I have heard rumors that there might be hot springs in this area close to Al Ain. I have never, I'm still looking. So if you guys know of any hot springs in the UAE, please let me know. There's literally not a single one registered on the international map. So, you know, let me know, and we'll literally put your face on it like this. You know?
Can we take this one, because I saw this one about 4 times, about your career and how did you get started? How did you start your career as a National Geographic explorer? And then I saw a few times with that, is your job hard?
Oh, you know, let's start with the job is hard. You know what? There's a saying in Spanish, todo lo bueno requiere esfuerzo. Everything that's good requires effort. Some aspects of my job are super hard. And in fact, I had to give a safety training today for someone that's going to be working at the boiling river And there's a part that we call the Spider-Man wall, because you're literally like stuck to a wall like Spider-Man, shimmying like this over 90-degree seawater in a very steep box canyon. And that is very dangerous, and that is very difficult. That's hard, but it's fun. If you're doing something that you enjoy, it's fun. I mean, you can be playing a video game, and without the TV screen or without the screen, it'll just be like a bunch of buttons that be in random orders, and that's boring, right? That might be monotonous. But when you see the results of that directly, that's fun, right? If you do something that you enjoy, it doesn't matter how hard it is, you're going to love it. How did I travel to, okay, I think I saw one that said, go in this area. Oh, look, we don't have any registered hot springs in Montenegro. Maybe you can help us. Great question about the flamingos. There are definitely flamingo species whose feet can handle hotter water. That's certainly true. As far as the career goes, I actually got I got started with National Geographic in 2010. So I was living in northern Peru, and I was doing some geothermal work there in that area. And I got my first grant from National Geographic, and that grant led to another project, to another project, to another project. And frankly, it's turned into an absolute dream job. There's another question. Was I ever afraid during explorations? You know, there's a balance between a fear and excitement. And like, I think there's certain things that will always make you afraid, like going into an active volcano's crater where you have gases, where you see lava. That can be scary. Or when you're dealing with a venomous serpent, a viper or something like that, that can be scary. The times I've been most scared though have been with people, because sadly some of my work has to do a lot with, with the conservation side. And sometimes there's mafias, and sometimes there's illegal lumber traffickers and corrupt politicians. And that's where it gets really, really, really scary. So
I'm going to jump in on one that you probably can't see, and then we may have time for at least one more. But what we will do is to take all of the questions and we will feed them back to you. So we'll make sure that we answer all the questions if we don't get a chance to answer them right now. But this was an interesting one. It was in there twice. Have you actually been to all of the hot springs that are registered that are on your map? And if not, maybe if you want to just point out which ones you have visited.
Well, I don't think we have time to point out all the ones that I've visited. Wherever I go, I try to visit a hot spring. So I'm checking out your school right now, and the secondary school here, and trying to figure out how close you are to any of the registered hot springs. So most of these registered ones are from a document, a book, a study that came out in 1965. So we are taking that information and trying to ground proof it, right? I wish, oh man, I wish I had the lifespan, time and money, if you will, to visit every last place. But let's see, for example, in 2 weeks, I'll be in Italy, actually, which should be a lot of fun, in central Italy. I'm going to check out some things there. Then I'm actually doing a project with the government of Portugal, but in the Azores, so in the islands over here, which should be fun. And then later on, I'll be back in Peru doing work. We actually have a lot more. So this is the stuff that was on the map to give you an idea. But with some of our work, we've been able to add many, many more hot springs. So you can see the new ones in different colors here. And what we want to do is not only identify the names, but if you do give a new hot spring, we'll put you there, as a collaborator. So, that's a great question. Why did I choose a job of being a geothermal scientist? Growing up, a big chunk of my life was quite literally on a volcano. So this is in Nicaragua. Some of my earliest memories, my family in Nicaragua is from a place called Chinandega. So we're from up here in the north. You can see Chinandega's right there. And this volcano, San Cristobal, as you can hopefully see, is active. And my family has actually grown coffee here on the side of the Casita volcano, right? This is Volcan Casita. And you can actually see the coffee plantation here. So my great-great-grandfather was the one who started this. So there's the old house and where we grow the coffee. And there's a big fumarole field here. So all of the reason why none of the jungle is here is because the ground is too hot. So you can literally touch the ground and you can feel that heat. And it's something that got me very passionate about volcanoes, because part of my life was in Nicaragua, part of my life was in Peru. In Peru, it was all in Lima, and we have the big, incredible, beautiful Andes mountains here, but they're not volcanic. They're hard, cold mountains, and feeling the heat of the volcano with a child, really feeling that just impressed me. Sort of like I remember as a kid thinking, you know, you touch another human, right? You touch a living body and it's warm to the touch. Anyway, that reminded me of that. But it was something that started a passion, and then I started realizing, you know, we wouldn't have any of this if it wasn't for ultimately for geothermal. Earth is a heat engine. We have plate tectonics because of Earth's heat. Those plate tectonics protect the Earth with ultimately with the Earth's magnetosphere that protects the Earth from solar radiation. Some people think that one of the leading theories of where life came from has to do with geothermal systems as well. Yeah, there's more questions. What on which continent are there the most hot springs? That's not a fair question yet, because right now, and this is what I'm excited to address, most of the research, most of the registered places tend to be in the quote unquote developed world, right? In the first world. So you see a lot of data for the US, for Canada, lots of data for Europe. But like let's take Africa, for example, here, right? The East African Rift Zone is one of the most volcanically active places in the world. But there's been less study there than, for example, in a lot of Europe, and part of the reason is science was not made, it was not democratized. It wasn't opened up to everyone. So what I want to do with this project is have everyone say, you know what, you're an individual, send me the stuff, you can help, you can literally be a collaborator, help me out. How many dead animals found in the Amazon forest? Every single time I go, I see it. I see at least one animal that's fallen in the boiling river and boiled alive. I know we're out of time. You guys just cut me
No
off whenever you
worries.
need to.
Yeah,
I
no
can keep
worries.
going.
Thank you so much. There's so many questions. I wish we could stay for more. We have another group with middle and high school joining us shortly. We wish we could do, but as I said, we will make sure we have been writing down all of the questions, everything that we have not gotten to, and we will feed these back through the Zoom registration link so that we will have all of your questions answered. And more importantly, we actually want you to take action. So we're going to send you information on some different global issues that you can take part and look at how you can just make a small impact, as Andres said, in your own community or a global impact. And we are going to have you to complete a project for us, submit it to us. We will be the judges. And then we would like to highlight all of the projects on our website. This is our 5th one, so we really like a lot of participation for this because we really want to start thinking as a global community, how can we take action? Andres, thank you so much for joining us. Their questions are still coming in. Everyone just really enjoyed the session.
Oh, thank you guys all. And please, honestly, Instagram is the easiest way to get a hold of me if you send me a message there. Salam. At 11 years old, I'm reading the thing. I have to answer this question because it's so good. There is not a single human civilization, tribe, anything that has not identified hot springs as special places. So I don't know when the first hot spring was discovered on Earth, but it was probably long, long, long before history was there. And even from that moment, our earliest human ancestors already said there were special places. For example, even in Peru, even with the story of Atahualpa meeting the first Europeans who came to Peru, he chose, the emperor of the Inca chose to greet the Europeans sitting in a hot spring throne. So his throne was inside of a hot spring. So first hot spring I visited was on the side of that volcano in Nicaragua when I was a kid. So I grew up around them. So that doesn't count. And by the way, I might be coming to Romania in September. They're inviting me in to a project in in the Carpathian Mountains. So we'll see. Hopefully, who knows? Maybe I can stop by and we can go look for hot springs. But thanks again. They're going to kill me for spending too much time. But thank you all, and I'll talk to you soon. Okay.
Thank you. Everyone, enjoy the rest of your day. And thank you. And remember, how can you take action? Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.